Recap Manhwa. It all started on a dark, rainy night. A dude was dragging himself down the street, and at night a guy was following an imaginary woman. And he kept telling her name was Julia and that she shouldn't follow him, but all this time the guy was wandering behind this imaginary woman. He was being chased by 3 or more people. Some time ago the chef was cooking fish at a restaurant, when a young waitress came up to the chef and asked for a raise this month. The cook said the waitress already got a raise last month, but the waitress told the cook to hear her out. He replied, "I don't want to hear anything." The cook broke down crying and said he didn't want to listen to the waitress, because when she talks about her daughter, tears just start flowing. Then the cook added that the poor waitress's husband cheats on her and her daughter's sick. Only the woman interrupted, saying no one's cheating on her. And she thinks the boss is super emotional when he says he'll raise her pay this month, but that it'll be the last time. The waitress gets hyped and thinks this will be enough to buy meds for her kid. When the waitress heads home, the boss tells her not to forget about herself because health and mental health are the key to family happiness. Only the girl says happiness needs money, as the girl wanted to go home. The boss asks where Olivia's going like that. Then he looks at her sweater and spots a big stain. Olivia tells the cook she'll change and head out. When Olivia was walking home, she ran into a stranger just chilling on the street. She asked what was up and why he was resting on the street. Olivia looks at the stranger and notices blood on him. Then she asks where he's from and what happened to him. When the stranger woke up and saw Olivia, he remembered his friend Julia. Then he asks Olivia not to leave him out here on the street. The heroine decides to help the stranger and takes him home. Only when Olivia brought the stranger home does she think about what she did. He's a total stranger to her, and she immediately brought him home because she couldn't just leave him on the street. He was desperate for help. When Olivia takes off his shirt to check the wound, it's bigger than she thought, so she decides to call 911 to stop him from dying at home. But when the stranger woke up, he grabbed Olivia by the waist and pulled her close, saying Julia. But the heroine doesn't get what's going on and asks the stranger if he's okay, and she tells him to let her go. When Olivia looks into the stranger's eyes, she wonders if he's losing control, and if he was always this hot. Olivia loses it and kisses the stranger. When they kiss, his wound heals itself and bullets start flying. The stranger remembers a voice yelling at him to wake up and remember how he killed Julia with his own hands. And the voice screams that he's a murderer. When the stranger wakes up, he looks around and tries to remember what happened and how he ended up here. He only recalls coming home after a meeting, when an unknown car passed by, and through the window he saw a ghost. It looked like Julia. Then the man got out of the car and followed the ghost. As soon as he followed the ghost, he ran into a group of thugs, fought them, and got shot with a gun. When the stranger remembers all this, he wonders where the bullet wound is. The man sees Olivia next to him and thinks, what kind of girl is she? What's she doing here, and why does she smell like his ex, Julia? As soon as Olivia tries to tell the stranger she didn't want any of this, he throws her on the couch and yells, "Who are you, and why did you bring me here right now?" Her husband Max is taking a shower, wondering if Olivia's already back home. After a few minutes, Max hears Olivia screaming in the bathroom, then runs in and yells, "What happened?" When Max rushes in, Olivia says there's someone in the living room, but when they both enter the room, they only see a mess. No one's there. Max wonders what could have gone down here. Olivia also looks around and is sure there was a man here. She's not dreaming all this. But when she and Max entered the room, no one was there and only the window was open. Olivia starts thinking it was all a dream. She just notices blood drops on the couch and is sure it was all real. Max asks Olivia if she's hurt, and if they should call the cops just in case. Olivia answers that for her. Everything's fine, she shouted because she was scared of the strong wind, but thinks if the cops show up, she'll have to take a couple days off, but she can't since they bumped her pay to take care of Looney. So Max asks Olivia once more if it was definitely the wind. She says it was the wind, but looking at the living room, the wind couldn't have done that. Max looks at Olivia, unsure about what she said, and thinks something's seriously off here. But he can't just ask what happened if Olivia won't spill, especially since they're not even together. So it's not his problem. The guy says, alright, everything's fine. If anything happens, Olivia should tell him. She replies, sure, and he's glad everything's chill and no one got hurt. Then Max asks Olivia if she wants to hit up the show with him this Saturday. Of course he knows the timing's not right for an invite and he's on the same page. But still, Olivia says she'll think about it. She sat on the couch, her head still spinning. She thinks she can't shake off the thoughts about that weird dude, wondering if it's normal the bullet came out on its own. But she can't believe some stranger lost that much blood and still escaped through the window. Who even is he anyway? At that moment, the stranger's already sitting in her house, and a familiar guy runs up to him saying he searched the whole house for Demian's disappearance but couldn't find him. When Russell notices blood on Demian's body, he says he was attacked. Demian says he got jumped by thugs on some street and got shot. Russell asks how he could be alone. Demian just says he was hallucinating. Russell yells at him, reminding him of the doctor's words. If you take too much medicine, the headaches and hallucinations get worse. You can live like a normal person. You just gotta take less meds. When Demian looks at the medicine, he says Russell sounds just like a doctor. He checks out the medicine and says whoever made it isn't doing so hot either. Russell heard the words heal yourself. When Demian started turning into a wolf, he tells Russell he knows how dangerous they are to humans. Demian says werewolves can't live together for one reason, because they're still free. But thanks to ISP drugs, they're forced to control their instincts. But the ISP medicine was made from wolfsbane, a plant used to kill werewolves. Demian's dad made medicine from it. And trying to make it into a pill, Demian made some newer meds. Only the ISP medicine has some serious side effects. Then Demian remembers when he kissed Olivia, the headache vanished, and his body relaxed. It felt like going back to before he started taking the meds. Demian hands Russell a piece of his shirt and says they need to find the owner of this shirt. Russell doesn't get why they need to find this person, but Demian says this person is the key to making ISP medicine, without side effects. At that moment, while Demian and Russell were talking at the club, a hooded stranger walks into the private party. The stranger approaches the white-haired guy and punches him in the face, saying he warned Silas not to make him look for him again. The hooded stranger tells him, Silas, that he's given up on getting rid of his dad and brother, since now he can become the head of the family. Silas says why make things so complicated? Turner shouldn't have followed Silas to the end, acting like he's the only one wanting revenge on the Brown family. Turner then says he decided to work with Silas because he thought he was a werewolf, but turned out he was just an inexperienced pup. After these words, Silas gets up from the table and runs at Turner, grabs him by the neck and throws him on the table, telling him to watch his mouth. Turner says if Silas had acted like this from the start, he wouldn't have minded working with him, and tells him to stop playing dumb. We need Silas to go with him, they've got a lot to handle right now. Olivia arrives at work and is changing to start serving tables when Olivia is changing clothes. Calls her friend and asks if little Luna is okay. Her friend says everything's fine, she was just a bit mischievous because she was hungry. But now she's asleep, Olivia says over the phone. That she accidentally broke a shirt her friend lent her, to which the friend yells at her over the phone, asking if she even has any idea how much that shirt cost, but Olivia apologizes and says she'll buy a new one. When the friend thinks about the torn shirt, she says it was really Max who ripped it, but Olivia says no, that's not true. The friend replies that they're really close, but the heroine denies all that and says it's not like that, then says goodbye like a girlfriend. Olivia thinks about her friend's words about Max just staring at the bullet from the gun. She remembers Demiana. Only Olivia recalls the night with Demian. She hits the closet door and tells herself to forget that night because it was just an accident. An accident that will never happen again. At that moment, when the heroine is worried about what happened last night, two werewolves, Turner and Silas, enter the restaurant. When they enter and see it's empty, they sit at a table and Turner pulls out a folder and says this is their first target, and if Silas is ready to start the ritual, but Silas says Turner is paying way too much attention to that. Silas takes the folder in his hands and asks if Turner is sure there won't be any problems after this. Then Turner replies he's sure because the person in the folder has no known contacts or family. Won't suspect a thing if they disappear, only the body will be found, Silas. Then he says Turner wants to use this person to create a beta. Turner responds yes, but this time, the real beta won't be like the failed experiments from the past. In the middle of the conversation, Silas suddenly gets up from the table and heads to the dressing room where Olivia is. When Silas enters the dressing room, he's surprised to see a person, but Olivia is even more shocked. She says no outsiders are allowed here, and if he doesn't leave, Olivia will call the cops. Silas approaches Olivia and asks why she smells like that familiar Julia when the bullets that were on Demian fell from Olivia's pocket. Silas heard his blood and couldn't control his rage and started turning into a werewolf. At that moment, Turner enters the dressing room and tells Silas to calm down and that Olivia is not their target. But it was already too late. Silas had started transforming and his anger wouldn't cool down. Then Turner pulled a gun from his pocket and aimed it at his co-worker's head at the same time. The sound of gunshots echoed in the dressing room. Olivia was shocked by what happened when she saw Turner shoot Silas. She thought he was dead and told Turner not to come near her, but he did and knocked her out. A couple hours later, Olivia woke up already in the boss's office when he approached. The heroine screamed that someone pulled a gun and shot the guy in the head, but the boss didn't believe her and asked what gun. When Olivia looked at the closet where there was blood, it wasn't there, but the heroine was sure it was her. Then the boss said it was probably not her who started the migraine because she sleeps very little, and told Olivia to get her head out of the clouds. They have a lot of work. After the boss's words, Olivia really thinks she must have dreamed it all. Because she doesn't sleep much at that moment in the church, Turner looks at the bullet he took from Olivia and can't believe someone could shoot a werewolf like Demian Brown, and that the rumors about his bad health turned out to be true. But Turner thinks the Silas issue is settled and now everything's in order and there won't be any problems. They just need to figure out what kind of relationship Olivia has with Demian Brown. While Turner thought about all this, two guys came to the church and Turner asked what they were doing here on a Wednesday then. Andreas replied that on Saturday he'd be acting in a play and wanted the Holy Father to come see him. Andreas also introduced Max to the Holy Father and said he's the scriptwriter. Max was happy to meet the Holy Father and that his sermon surprised Max. Andreas said they met Max abroad, then Max was in the army and now he's a journalist. Turner asked Max what field of life he covers. Max said he wanted to cover the public but now films more about famous people. Andreas says that in any case the Holy Father will come to the event but says he won't be able to because he has stuff to handle, and apologizes while the friends leave and talk about whether Max invited his girl to the play or not. Turner guides them with a super interested and cautious look. Meanwhile, Olivia's friend asks if she's going to the play this Saturday, but Olivia doesn't catch the question, thinking that weird stuff has been going down lately. First she had a dream that felt way too real, then a nightmare that was basically like real life. Her friend is already yelling at Olivia to get her attention. When Olivia finally looks, her friend asks little Luna what she thinks like. Max asked her mom out on a date. When Olivia tries to explain to her daughter it's not a date, her friend rushes super fast into the second room and offers to pick out clothes. The friend suggests different outfits. Olivia just says it's a super short dress. The friend says let her wear it because it's time to take the relationship to the next level. A friend asks if Olivia wants to kiss Max, then Olivia thinks maybe it's not such a bad idea. Next day, Max sits in Terra Cure's president's office thinking the guy's pretty chill despite being the president. Turns out Demian Brown himself is the president of this company. Demian Brown's story. A pharma mogul who appeared out of nowhere, nobody knows where he came from, but he became the main guy. Someone called him the beloved son of the company's former president. Someone said he's the lover of some high-ranking woman. In recent months, all the mags only talk about his drug addiction, but about Miana. She also had a rare disease which sparked Terra Cure's interest in developing meds that could be taken for unusual illnesses. When Max was in Damian's office, he remembered his boss's words, who told Max to get all the info on the company's president, but Max thinks it's better to get info on the company, not the president, because that's personal info and crosses personal boundaries. Max and the company president are sitting in the office, and the advisor tells Max to ask the next question. Then Max says he wants to ask the president something personally. Max says Damian knows his company's meds better than anyone. Then the president asks what meds Max means. When Max looks at the president, he seems super confident, meaning the meds haven't messed with his head yet. When Damian says the interview is over, Max tries to get his attention and then asks if the president's been interested in anything lately. The advisor says Mr. Brown won't answer personal life questions. Max also says readers want to know what kind of person Terra Cure's president really is. When Damian hears this, he thinks what dumb questions even gave him a headache. When Damian comes back with the reporter, Max tells him with a threatening tone and pissed face that lately he's not interested in anything. So it's time for the reporter to leave the company. When the reporter is escorted out by the advisor, Max looks at the president and thinks maybe he's really sick and it's got nothing to do with drugs. During dinner, Damian calls his friend Russell and says he's arrived and is standing by the house. Then Damian tells him to let Russell handle everything fast. Russell arrives at Olivia's friend's apartment, and when he smells a piece of the shirt Damian gave him, the scent doesn't match. Then Russell remembers Damian said the girl was a tall blonde. At that moment, Olivia's friend is annoyed because they're sniffing her. When Russell realizes there was a mix-up, he tells his friend there was a mistake and they gotta bounce. The friend isn't happy about this and thinks it wasn't like that and that weird people are out and about these days. During dinner, Max came to pick up Olivia for the show and was shocked at how gorgeous she looked and the stunning dress she wore. Just as they were about to leave, Olivia says she was worried the dress wouldn't fit right. But Max says it's all good. She looks beautiful and made her wait a bit because it's raining outside. Max will now bring an umbrella when Olivia looks at the rain and remembers the recent situation where she met Demian. Just as Olivia and Max were supposed to head to the place, Silas unexpectedly woke up. After getting shot in the head when Turner dug him up and asked how he slept underground, Silas said it was disgusting. Max and Olivia are sitting at the bar and Max apologizes to Olivia for his friend not showing up. He doesn't even know what happened because his friend never missed the show 30 minutes ago when Max and Olivia wanted to go to the play. They were told the play wouldn't be cancelled, even without the lead actor. Olivia asks if Max will go look for his friend. He just says he must have fallen asleep somewhere on the way to the theater and missed his stop. This happens a lot even on the first day they met, which made him super late. Olivia is surprised that Max is from New York and wants him to tell her how he ended up in her city. Max tells her, recap Manhwa, he ran away from home back in high school because he couldn't live with his dad, took a job and then ended up in this city. And his family doesn't even know where he is or what he does. Max says he must have bored Olivia with his stories and asks how her childhood was. Olivia tells him her parents died when she was little, so she wanted to grow up to build her own family. Then Olivia met her husband and was happy because he also wanted a family. After that, she stopped feeling alone and her daughter Luna was born. After Luna's birth, the man proposed to Olivia and went off to make money to support the family. Only 8 months later, when Olivia saw him again, he was already buried deep underground. Olivia's daughter Luna was born 2 months earlier than the doctor said because the birth was difficult, and the doctors can't explain why she was born like that. Only Olivia knew why everything happened because her daughter came into the world full of whiteness and a mother's pain. That night, Silas went on a mission, and when Silas turned into a werewolf, he couldn't control himself and attacked Turner. Turner also turned into a werewolf to protect himself, and Silas asks if their target is already dead and what they should do next. Turner replies that so far everything's fine, they just have to wait. 3 days. Silas says he's had enough of these biblical talks, but Turner says they need 3 days to find the body and send it to the morgue so it's easier to access. Silas says the dead turn into werewolves on the 3rd day and asks Turner if he thinks this is unique and if he found out who the woman was. At the restaurant in the locker room, Turner says he still doesn't know who that woman from the restaurant is. They have to wait a bit longer. The info will come later. Silas replies he doesn't have time. He keeps thinking about that woman and goes crazy. Olivia and Max keep sitting at the bar, and Olivia wonders why she remembered her husband. Now she's so embarrassed, and also notices she didn't take off her wedding ring when she left. Max says Olivia has wine drops on her face and wants to wipe them off. When Max's hand touches Olivia's face, she gets really mad and her face turns red from the discomfort. As soon as Max tries to kiss Olivia, she says they should go home because it's late. At that moment, Max takes Olivia's hand and says he just wants her and her daughter Luna to be happy, so let her do what she thinks is right. She deserves it. Olivia lays her head on Max's shoulder and thinks she really deserves happiness. When Olivia kisses Max, she thinks if she really deserves happiness, then right now she'll do whatever her heart tells her. When Olivia and Max were kissing, Olivia says she wants to do something, but not here. The next day, Olivia and Max went bowling, so Max asks about it and if there's something she wanted to try. Olivia says she'd dreamed for a while about going bowling with someone. Good friends grab some drinks. Then Olivia says she's only heard about bowling once. But it's been a long time since school. They talked a lot about it. And she's never had a real date. Max admits he's never been to places like this either. He used to study too much and didn't have time for it. Then Olivia takes his hand and tells him this is the moment to start the best date ever and wants to play with him in the game. Whoever loses will grant the winner's wish. Max says they'll play fair. If the winner can make a wish, they start playing and Max is still ahead in points. But they're interested when the game ends. Olivia says that Max is sure he bowled for the first time in his life. Then Max admits this isn't his first bowling date. He's bowled a couple of times. Olivia gets offended and says he lied to her. Olivia thinks this date was the one she always dreamed of and asks Max what wish he'll pick as the winner. Olivia and Max went home together, with love burning in their eyes, and Max offered to take a shower together, which left Olivia confused and terrified. When they had already moved to the bed, suddenly the phone rang at that moment. When they were in bed and saw Olivia's friend Minson calling on the phone, they and Max went to the hospital where Minson met them and said that she and Luna were just eating cookies. When the problem happened, a doctor approaches Luna's bed and says so far everything's fine. The girl took her medicine and fell asleep. There's nothing to worry about, only that the doctor also says this was already the third hospital visit in the last year, and the attacks are happening more and more often. If this keeps up, it'll be hard for the girl to stay sane. Olivia is shocked by the news. When she heard the doctor's news, she couldn't hold back tears. Then Max says if there's no way to cure the girl, and if it's not possible in the States, it's better to send her abroad for treatment. The doctor responds they can't treat the girl without knowing the root problem. Plus the doctor adds that currently, no country can cure the girl. Max yells, "What does this mean today?" Means they've found a treatment method. The doctor says there are many rare diseases in the world and they just have to hope someone is already researching the disease the girl has. After the doctor's words, Max yells he's not going to listen to such lame talk anymore. After the doctor's words about rare diseases, Max remembers he recently was at Terra Cure company, where an employee said they research new diseases every year. After these memories, Max says they should go. He got an idea on how to help the girl. Max and Olivia got on the train late at night. Max tells them there's a company called Terra Cure, a pharmaceutical company specializing in rare disease research. And today they're holding a conference. Max will help Olivia get there and tell them everything about her daughter's illness. Olivia cries and says she's probably the worst mom in the world. She should have worked harder and tried more. Max consoles her and says she did everything she could. Olivia says how could she have a date? If she knew her daughter was sick, how could she allow something like that? Max tells Olivia not to blame herself. Max takes Olivia's hand and says they'll find a way to cure Luna no matter the cost. Somehow he'll pay for the treatment he promises. When Olivia fell asleep on the train, she dreamed she was alone in the forest and saw a wolf. Then she starts running from the wolf and meets Damon. When Olivia wakes up, she wonders what happened and why she dreamed of Damon in the morning, the company president. Damon and his assistant go to a conference. The assistant asks how Damon feels. Damon replies thanks to his efforts. It's disgusting. The assistant says he couldn't find that woman because Damon only gave him a small piece of his shirt. And who is she anyway for Damon to want to find her so badly? As soon as the elevator goes down, Damon enters and Olivia notices him. When Olivia sees Damon, she immediately remembers the night they brought him home. Injured, only now she thinks it's not the time to remember that night. She's here for her daughter. When Damon smells Olivia, he tells Rachel to cancel the conference because he smelled Olivia. And it's necessary to find her. Rachel says it's impossible to cancel the conference now. It's better to look for that woman later. After the conference, because there are bad rumors about President Damon, and if they cancel the conference, a lot of questions will pop up. Demian says he's heading to the conference, but instead, Russell should search every corner of the company, find that woman, and bring her to the president his way. When the conference starts, Olivia thinks about Damon. It can't just be a coincidence. That she met him in the elevator must have been someone else anyway. Her buddy Tom calls Max. Then Max says he has to bounce. It's a super important call, but Olivia says the conference is about to start. When the conference kicks off and the company president appears on screen, Olivia watches the screen and thinks he's the guy she saved a couple days ago. Damon as president steps on stage and says Terra Cure wants to build a world where everyone's got hope and that this conference will help the guests understand what the company president means. When Max was leaving the company, he got a call saying his friend's body was found on the street. And now it's at the morgue. Max is shook. He can't believe this happened to his friend right now. Damon's holding a conference, and he thinks he's super sick right now, but it'd be better if Olivia was by his side at the conference. And Russell came to signal the president that they still haven't found her. When Damon sees Rachel hasn't found the woman yet, he feels worse, and just as he's about to dip from the conference, he says the company scientist will answer all the questions. Instead, Olivia sees on TV Damon leaving the conference and decides to talk to him and wants to get in. Only the guard asks where her pass is. Olivia says her buddy has it and will be here in a minute. At that moment, when Russell was grabbing meds for the president, he noticed a woman who looked just like the one Damon was talking about, chatting with a security guard. Russell found the woman Damon mentioned. Damon is sitting in the car and getting worse. Damon now only thinks about Olivia. After a few minutes, Russell throws the woman into the car and Olivia just can't figure out what's going on here. Then Rachel asks Damon if this is the woman he's been talking about all this time, and if he already found her, then Rachel has no more questions or accusations. When Olivia found out about Damon, she couldn't believe it, but looking at him, she was sure he was the same guy from the conference a few minutes ago and what he was doing in the car. When Damon leans toward Olivia, she realizes her headache has vanished and her heart's beating insanely fast. Olivia says she was looking for him because she needs help from Terra Cure, but she doesn't have time to say what kind of help she wants to ask for when reporters crowd the car and start filming everything. The journalists just shut the car doors and start firing off tons of questions, especially about Olivia. Who is she sitting in the same car with the company president Russell right now? Says reporters are so annoying, always sticking their noses into personal lives and then spreading fake rumors. Russell tells them to shut up because he's kind of forgetting how to drive after a few minutes. Russell speeds off and the reporters are shook how the president pulled that off, and that they gotta catch him fast because this is prime material when Olivia and Demian are alone. He asks Olivia why she was looking for him and what kind of help she needs. Olivia says a rare disease is slowly killing her daughter and she's asking for help to get her daughter into a clinical trial. Demian says they already hired people for the trials. Olivia asks to hire one more person. Is it that hard? Demian replies they can hire one more if Olivia can cover all the costs and says the amount they gotta pay is $30 million. Olivia is shook by that news. She had no clue what would happen. It's $30 million. Olivia is shook by the news, had no clue what was gonna happen. Everything's mad expensive. Olivia says she doesn't have that kind of cash, but for her baby's sake she'll do whatever Demian wants. Then Demian asks what else he can help with. Russell notices the reporters caught up and says they don't know when to quit. And he can't keep driving. Demian's gotta bounce from the car and reach the neighbor's house in 3 minutes. Russell's gonna be waiting there. When Demian hops in the car, he looks at Olivia and says, "You got 3 minutes," to try to convince him to take his daughter to the exams. When Demian and Olivia run from the reporters, they say it's a shame they lost sight of them and no one knows who this woman is. She could become the headline of the day. Olivia starts persuading Demian and tells him she'll pay the full amount. Even if it takes her 10 years. No, even if it takes her whole life, she'll pay it all. Then Demian says even in his whole life, he won't be able to make that much money. Then Olivia grabs his shirt and says she saved his life and that means something. When Demian says he has 2 minutes left, Olivia yells for him to let her take all his soul and body. Let her take everything, but in return let her heal his daughter. Demian looks at Olivia and thinks she's way braver than he thought. After talking about Olivia giving everything, Demian says he can't sell his soul for money but for his body. Then he has nothing else to say, but with so much confidence he thinks she could be useful to him. When Demian picks Olivia up in his arms, she says how dare he do that, but he tells Olivia to wait. After those words, Demian just grabs her and jumps along the walls of the houses, all the way to the rooftop on the other side of the house. Russell was already waiting for them. But Olivia didn't back down from the scare and thinks this is a person who can do that kind of stuff. Demian tells Olivia to get in the car. Now they're heading to the airport, but Olivia replies she doesn't even have a plane ticket. After a couple of hours, everyone is sitting on the plane and Olivia thinks she's dumb. All rich people have their own private jets. When everyone is seated on the plane, Demian says he heard Olivia would do anything for her daughter. If that's the case, they need to sign a contract. Olivia asks what the deal is. Demian says he'll put Olivia's daughter on the list for trials and clinical exams. But in return, Olivia will have to meet with him. Olivia is shocked by that proposal, but Demian says she shouldn't misinterpret it, not in the romantic sense of a meeting, but in life, and that she said she was willing to give her body and soul, or were those just empty words? Olivia says this man who tricked her into seeing him says her words are empty. Then Demian says he no longer wants to save Olivia's daughter. After those words, Olivia thinks he's right. No matter what happens, if this is the only way to save her daughter, she'll do it. After Olivia considers everything, she says with a confident voice that it's good she agreed to sign the contract on those terms. At that moment, Max arrives at the morgue and the morgue worker says they only called Max because he was the last person Tom called before he died. Max looks at his friend and can't believe he's dead. The morgue worker says the death probably happened somewhere Saturday night. Max thinks he should have taken it more seriously when they told him his friend didn't show up to the show that day, and he had to go find him. When Max notices a wound on his friend's neck, he asks the worker where the wound came from. The morgue worker says that it suggests someone bit him and damaged his carotid artery, and the wound doesn't look like one a pet would leave. The wound is very deep. The worker asks Max if his friend ever had a dangerous exotic pet at home. Max just says he couldn't even take care of himself. What kind of pet would that be? And when Max took his friend's hand, he felt his hand tighten in the hand of his dead friend. Shocked, Max got really scared and screamed. The worker tells what happened. Max says his friend's hand just moved. The worker says sometimes corpses have muscle spasms. It's rare, but Max says it wasn't just a twitch, the hand was squeezing his hand. The worker says Max might seem like that, and the best thing they can do is let him rest in peace. The next day, Minson along with Olivia and Luna come to the hospital. Minson says this hospital is insane, it's more like a hotel room than a hospital ward. Luna asks what a hotel room is. Minson says it's so nice to be here, it's nice when Luna gets sweets. Olivia approaches the window, looks out and thinks it's time to heal her daughter at that moment. Demian enters the room. Olivia asks her friend how she knows him. Minson replies that it was on TV yesterday. They showed how a girl got into his limo. Olivia yells that it wasn't a kid, but her friend is surprised how she knows that. A man approaches Olivia and says his name is Dr. Allen and that he'll be responsible for Luna's treatment. Olivia looks at Demian. She thinks that all this time she was with him, he always had headaches and always felt bad when the doctor offered to do a medical exam. The daughter asked if Mom Olivia would go with her, and Olivia said of course just as they were about to go to the doctor. Olivia called Demian to talk to him. Then Minson said she'd go with Luna and that her friend could go talk to Demian. When Minson thinks there's some kind of connection between the company president and her friend, she notices Russell and thinks she's sure she's seen him before while Olivia and Demian walk down the hall. Olivia asks why he called her and where they're going. Demian at this moment thinks it's weird that he has a headache. He thought if Olivia was by his side, Then his headache would disappear, but something's off because the pain doesn't go away even when she's next to him. The day they adopted their daughter Olivia, Luna, Max comes to visit them. While walking down the hall to Olivia's room, he still can't believe Olivia is hanging with Terra Cure, and as he walks to the room, he hears Olivia's voice. Max follows Olivia's voice and sees she's with the company president. Demian walks down the hall wondering what could have changed, why his headache doesn't hurt even when Olivia's by his side. Demian gets sick and leans on Olivia and asks if he's changed lately. She says as far as she knows he hasn't. The president says if that's the case, Olivia can go with her daughter, but she says she can call a doctor if she's sick. Only Demian says it's all good for him, tells her not to pay attention and to go. When Olivia went to see her daughter, Demian got really sick, wanted to call Rachel, but his strength left him and he passed out. Olivia goes to her daughter's room and thinks she can't believe he had the nerve to get mad when she offered help and why the president called, just to ask if he'd changed lately. Right at the end of the hall, Olivia ran into the doctor and told him that a man further down the hall was feeling sick and asked the doctor to go check on him. Near Luna's room, Olivia met Max. She's glad he came to see how they were, but Max says he was waiting for her and asks where Olivia was. She replies she had to do something. Olivia lets Max into the room and gives him water. Max says he still can't believe Luna's being treated at Terra Cure and was really surprised when he heard that. Max asks how it happened that they took Luna for treatment. How Olivia convinced the company president Demian Brown? Olivia replies she was really lucky, still can't believe they got that chance. Max asks if it's true they just got lucky, and Olivia with a surprised face says what she really means. Max just says it doesn't matter, he's really tired, so he's talking nonsense. Olivia asks where he went when the conference was held. Max, with a serious face, says his friend Tom died recently and went to the morgue. Olivia says how could he die? Max says he can't believe it. But the police think he was attacked by a wild animal. Olivia says how could a wild animal attack someone in the middle of the city? Max says he doesn't know how it could have happened either, but thinks about what happened at the morgue when his dead friend shook his hand, and what he saw with Olivia and the company president that night. Turner and Silas arrive at the morgue. Turner asks why Silas was late. He was looking for that woman again. Silas says she came every night to that restaurant, wanted to see a woman who smelled like his friend Julia, but no matter how many times she came, she wasn't there. He should have quit after that incident. Turner opens the body and tells Silas to order. Silas looks at dead Tom and thinks it's been a long time for a corpse. But he hasn't changed at all. Silas says they still hope the experiment they once tried will work. But Turner says that's not the case and pulls back the curtain when Turner opened the curtains and the moonlight lit up the dead guy. Tom started turning into a werewolf. Then Turner says they managed to finish the experiment. Turner watches Tom's werewolf transformation and says this is their first beta version and he'll be a great werewolf, but only after Tom fully turns into a werewolf. For the first time Tom attacks Turner, Silas also quickly transforms and saves Turner, but Turner says Silas shouldn't hurt the werewolf at all. Now everything depends on his behavior. When the new werewolf accepted Silas as his leader, Turner also asks him how he feels about Silas becoming an alpha, if he feels the power growing stronger every minute. Turner also says with every new werewolf, Silas's power will only grow on its own. Silas says Turner has stopped talking. He still doesn't trust him 100% but wants to see where this plan leads. There was another guy in the morgue who saw everything. The man got super scared and yelled not to come near their monsters. But Silas is glad he showed up here and that another man will become the next beta. And Silas bites him, turning him into a werewolf. The next day Demian is lying at home, and Russell asks if he's feeling better and says he's lucky the nurse called otherwise. Demian would have turned into a werewolf in broad daylight. Demian asks what nurse. Russell replies a woman named Olivia Moore asked the nurse to check on him, looking at Demian. He's getting worse but says the drug side effects are getting worse, and it's no longer easy for him to suppress his animal instincts. Russell says they don't have time for the auctioneers meeting planned for this Sunday, and it should be cancelled before it's too late. Only Demian says not everything has to go as planned, and Russell responds it's not funny anymore, everything should be cancelled by the president. And that's why he caused a big scene with the conferences. Demian wants to run an experiment with Olivia and kiss her. He asks Russell where Olivia is now. At the same time, Olivia and Max are packing Luna's stuff in the room, and Max asks if she needs a teddy bear. Olivia says she really needs a teddy bear named Grimaldi. Max asks what Grimaldi means. Olivia replies it's the name of the pizzeria where she gave this teddy bear to her daughter, and it was at this pizzeria where Luna had a seizure. For the first time, that's why it's called that. Olivia apologizes to Max. She didn't want to start the conversation on a negative note, but Max says she can talk about anything with him. He'll always have her back. At that moment, while everyone was packing Luna's stuff in the room, someone knocked on the door. Olivia said no one was supposed to be there. Max went to open the door. When Max opened the door, Terra Cure President Demian Brown was standing there behind the door and asked if Olivia was home now. Olivia came out of the room and asked what he needed. Demian replied he had an urgent conversation he wanted to discuss with Olivia and it was related to her contract. Max tells Demian he can't come here at this hour. Demian tells Max the same. What is he doing here at this hour? Max says what Demian means when he says Max can't be here at a time like this. Then Demian replies there's nothing to worry about, it's just between him and Olivia. Demian thinks she still doesn't know what's going on here. Then Demian says why don't he and Max ask Olivia. Then Demian asks if he's not happy to be here. Olivia thinks he can do whatever he wants and that he's a bold man, but still tells Mr. Brown to come inside. When Max saw Mr. Brown could reach Olivia so late, he thought about how close they are that Demian could come this late and says he can explain everything himself. Max doesn't want to hear anything and just leaves the house saying they'll see each other again at the hospital recap Manhwa. While Mr. Brown looks at Max, he thinks his face and name seem super familiar, then he remembers it was Max who interviewed him. A couple of days ago, Demian walks into the house and Olivia tells him not to just show up without an invite. Then he replies like, how should we look then, and that today they can go over all the contract details. Mr. Brown shows Olivia the full contract and tells her it lays out all the ways they can meet up and asks Olivia to read everything carefully and think before signing. Only when Olivia reads the contract does she get shocked that in the contract it says she has to obey all of Mr. Brown's orders. Then Demian says everything's legit. When Demian hands Olivia a pen to sign the contract, she says in disbelief why she has to sign it alone. Olivia remembers her daughter and asks if Demian can do everything for her daughter. He says yes. So Olivia grabs the pen from his hands and without thinking twice signs the contract between them. Once the contract was signed, Demian started stripping and says they need to replay the night she saved him. Demian wants everything to be like that night because he wants to rip the sweater he's wearing, and Olivia just says it's not necessary. He has a shirt from the night he tore it. When Olivia puts on the ripped shirt, she says she's ready and what to do. Next, Demian says to let her sit for a bit. Demian looks at Olivia and thinks it's weird he doesn't feel any change like he used to at the hospital. Maybe it's because it was raining that night. Meanwhile, Max sits at home and thinks Olivia can't even imagine how dangerous Mr. Brown is, and they should tell her to stay away from him, but Max has no right to do that because he himself suggested asking Terra Cure for help. While Max was thinking about Olivia, his phone rang. When he picked up, it was a cop calling. The cop said Tom's body disappeared from the morgue. Max was shocked by the news. He asks how could this happen and what's coming next. The cop just says there's no need to come because this case is secret. Meanwhile, Mr. Brown is standing at Olivia's house with a gun. When Demian gives the gun to Olivia, he tells her to shoot him because of that request. She's not herself. Why would she shoot Mr. Brown? Olivia puts the gun on the table and says with a shaky voice, this isn't funny and Mr. Brown is going way too far to fix what happened a couple days ago. Demian looks at Olivia and thinks he's going too far but wants to be sure Olivia has the skills he needs. When Mr. Brown holds the gun in his hand, he says he wants Olivia to heal him like she did the night she saved him. Olivia sees everything and runs to Mr. Brown and tells him not to do it before Mr. Brown could shoot himself in the arm. Olivia threw him on the couch and says he could have seriously hurt himself. Demian says he's not weak enough to die from a gunshot to the arm, and if Olivia cares about his feelings, she could use this situation as blackmail. Demian says that would be some next-level blackmail. That the president of Terra Cure company self-mutilates and drowns in chemical drugs would be a killer headline for the magazines. Max Olivia's buddy would love that. Only Olivia says she isn't like that and would never do that. Olivia says Mr. Brown might not believe her, but she can't just stand still. When someone needs help, her daughter turned out this way thanks to the kindness of those around her. Her daughter lasted this long because of that, so she fights hard to live and tell it all for Olivia. The fact that Mr. Brown is the president of Terra Cure company meant nothing that night. She just saved him because he was hurt. When Olivia looks at Mr. Brown, she cries and says she's starting to regret saving him. That night, Demian asks why, and then Olivia says why he treats her with so much disrespect. She somehow felt hurt by the request to include her daughter in the clinical exam list, or somehow it's connected to a woman named Julia. Olivia says the name of this woman Mr. Brown mentioned in the first meeting. Who is she? And what does she have to do with Olivia? And why was Mr. Brown covered in blood? Why did he disappear so suddenly? When Demian, hearing all this, sees a ghost behind Olivia, Julia panics and jumps. After seeing Demian, he says it's better to stop. Olivia asks to stop what Demian says, to stop everything they started. Olivia screams to even break the contract. When Mr. Brown left Olivia's house, she was shocked by his words that everything had to stop. And she was really worried about the contract concerning her daughter when Olivia was handling the contract account. Her phone rang and she thought it was Demian calling again. At that moment, her boss called to ask how her daughter's treatment was going. Olivia greets the boss and says her daughter is in good hands and wants to apologize for being fired so suddenly, but the boss says there's no need to apologize. Now, the most important thing is for Luna to recover, so Olivia has nothing to worry about. The main thing is for her to focus on her daughter's treatment at that moment. Demian leaves the house and walks down the street toward his car. Rachel finds him and asks how things are going with Olivia, to which Demian replies it's better for her to find another way to fight her instincts, and that he's changed on that, so don't worry about Olivia anymore. Russell says Demian once said he needed her for the ESP medication and that he thought about that since they have a shareholders meeting the day after tomorrow, and why Demian changed his mind to do something he's worried about his health. Then Demian responds he can't do it, that he can't do experiments on someone he cares so much about, Olivia. Salian sits and looks at his phone and notices Demian is next to a blonde woman, thinks it might be the woman from the restaurant. She was also blonde, and Salias can't stop thinking about her and decides to go back to the restaurant the next day. Olivia arrives at Terra Cure company and asks to meet Mr. Brown, to which the woman behind the computer asks if they have a scheduled meeting. Olivia says no, and the woman behind the counter says he's not here right now. Olivia asks if she can find out where Mr. Brown is now. The secretary says she can't answer that question. Olivia thinks about what to do now. Most likely he won't agree to a meeting after what happened. Only after thinking a lot, Olivia decided that if she wants to save her daughter, she has to convince him it's not worth it. The heroine tells the secretary that she can wait for him at the company as long as it takes at that moment. Demian came to the cemetery to see Julia and tells her that lately something strange has been happening to him. The other day he smelled his scent on an unknown woman to him, and it seems the headache goes away when he goes back to her, and at some point he even started confusing Julia and Olivia. Demian mentions that Julia was for him, the only person who accepted him even though he was a werewolf. That's why he loved her. He tried for years to make medicine to suppress the werewolf instincts to be sure he wouldn't hurt Julia. Demian wanted to be with Julia forever, and even after her death he continued his research thinking that was the only way out. To not forget her. When Demian looks at Julia's grave, he thinks that he was ready to use Olivia to improve the ESP medicine, but somehow, now he has doubts. Russell runs to Mr. Brown and tells him Olivia is waiting for him in the office and seems willing to give up Demian. Asks if Russell knows where Olivia's friend works, and to find out where she is now. Russell says this means that the ESP drug research will start again. Demian says no, the experiments will be frozen for now. Then Rachel says why and why she liked the restaurant where Olivia's friend works. Mr. Brown responds he wants to pay Olivia's debt. When Demian and Rachel arrive at the restaurant, Mr. Brown suggests Minson take care of Luna because it will be hard for Olivia to care for her daughter all day. Russell watches all this and thinks that if they keep treating his daughter, it's better to spend the whole day doing ESP experiments. Olivia won't even know what's going down here. Minson listens to Mr. Brown and tells him if this is a job, he wants a salary 4 times higher than at a restaurant. Then Demian says he'll offer 10 times that. Minson is shocked by those numbers. Only Mr. Brown has one request. Minson has to keep everything on the low for Olivia. Minson asks why he should keep it secret. If Olivia found out, she'd be happy, but Mr. Brown says he wants to tell her himself. So Minson agrees to those terms but thinks she won't keep any secrets. Not at all right then. Silas approaches the restaurant and is shocked to see what Demian Brown is doing here. Silas came to the restaurant hoping to meet Olivia a moment ago. While Silas watched Demian, he noticed stones near him, sensing danger. Demian protected his girl Olivia from stones Silas threw at the window as Silas enters the restaurant. Demian asks what he's doing here, and if Silas is only here for Demian, then not to start a fight. Because there are people around, Silas angrily tells Brown not to boss him around and throws punches at Demian. Once Mr. Brown blocks Silas' attack, he tells Silas to back off. Because their powers aren't equal, Mr. Brown is stronger, and no matter how much time passes, he'll always be stronger. Silas says he's wrong and to let him show how much time has passed since they last saw each other, as Silas tries to show the difference in their powers. Demian grabbed Silas and threw him to the ground effortlessly. When Silas was already down, Mr. Brown says he's gotten stronger. But that won't change anything. He's still not equal to Demian if Silas doesn't remember then. Demian is his older brother and the head of the family. When the fight started in the restaurant, everyone noticed it was the company president. Terra cares about Demian Brown and everyone started filming all this. Mr. Brown noticed they were recording him, so she and Russell wanted to leave ASAP. Silas didn't miss the chance to attack when his big bro was distracted. At that moment, 2 guys come out of the restaurant. And they're hyped. They got a pic of President Demian Brown on their phone, and they can't imagine how much the press will want those pics. And what if, say, Mr. Brown wanted to kill someone, then one of the guys driving the car slammed on the brakes hard. His friend asks what was up. He doesn't know how to drive, but a wolf appeared right on the road and ran toward the guys in the car. When Silas heard his brother, he remembered what Turner told him. When Turner gave Silas the cross, he told him not to do anything yet until he regained strength. If Demian found out about his plan, it would all be for nothing. Silas says that so far, Demian Brown doesn't even think about coming near him, but Mr. Brown says Silas is his little bro, and if he wants back in the family, they're always ready to take him. Silas replies it's because of his older bro, who left the family, and Demian knows that better than anyone, and that Demian should enjoy being head of the family while he can, because very soon, Silas will dethrone his big bro and take it for himself. Demian thinks what happened to his little bro, he's gotten way stronger since their last fight. A secretary calls Mr. Brown and says Olivia is still waiting for him in her office. When Demian gets to his office, he's surprised Olivia waited so long. Demian picks Olivia up in his arms and thinks that since his little bro wants revenge, Olivia might be in danger too, so Demian decides not to see her again. Even if that stops the ISP cure progress. The next day, Russell runs up to Demian and tells him they have to cancel today's shareholders meeting because what happened yesterday at the restaurant is already online and in magazines. When Russell peeks at the meeting through the door, he thinks he had no idea that day someone else besides those 2 guys took a photo, and that's the last thing reporters need. No good vibes at all. They can make a scene. Demian tells Rachel the meeting will go down as planned. But Rachel asks what if she disconnects right in front of the people who showed up. Russell says Olivia needs to be invited to the meeting. She'll be right next to Mr. Brown. If anything goes down, Olivia's standing close to her daughter's room and thinks about how she couldn't meet Mr. Brown yesterday. Recap Manhwa. And it's weird because the last thing she remembers is how she waited for him in the office and how it ended up in her daughter's room.